God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you enjoy Pantheon related content, MMORPGs, RPGs, JRPGs, all that kind of thing, because that's what we do here. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about the Minus class. Oh, I'm sorry, I mean the Rogue class. Any fans of Pantheon Plus out there will get that joke. The Rogue is a really cool class, and we're going to be covering everything we know about it so far. Now keep in mind that once we get to the abilities, it is not a full list. There will be more abilities. These are just the ones that are going to give you a very clear picture of what the Rogue will be like to play. Now before we begin, I do want to give a big shout out to the members of Napalm. Thank you so much for keeping this channel going. I appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. And if you're interested in becoming a member of Napalm, please click the join button down below for more information and a list of perks. Alright guys, let's get started. So the Rogue. In the shifting sands of this fragile era, rogues are sought out for their faceless affairs of nations, yet their allegiance is rarely to a banner of creed, but to themselves. With daggers drawn, the treacherous rogue is a ruinous force, unraveling their enemies with terrifying speed and efficiency. As melee specialists, rogues have trained extensively with one-handed weapons, but are most deadly with a dagger in their main hand plunged deep into the back of their enemy. While exceptionally skilled with dagger and blade, rogues avoid combat unless it is on their terms. Masters of subterfuge, they plot their move from the shadows to avoid detection. They will find an opening of opportunity or rely on their alchemical talents to create one themselves. When the moment arrives, there are few on Terminus who can match the deadly precision of a rogue's onslaught, and fewer still who can disappear in the wake of such carnage as if they were never there. Their group role is damage, their combat resources are endurance and opportunity, their available armor is cloth, light and heavy leather. Their available weapons are dagger, short spear, long spear, sword, edged axe, club, warhammer, mace, fist weapon, short bow, and crossbow. Now their available races that you can play as to be a rogue is Dark Mer, Dwarf, Elf, Halfling, Human, Gnome, and Scar. So you've got a lot of options in the races you want to play as, and although it's debatable, I do think the Halfling's going to have a little bit of an advantage here. Now let's talk about those abilities. Now once again, I have to say, this is not the full ability list. There will be more, and it is also possible that some of these will be upgraded as you continue your journey to max level, etc. First up, we have Like a Ghost, which is a passive. This permanently reduces the range at which hostile enemies will attack you. So passively, the rogue can be closer to a mob or to a monster without being attacked than any other class, which is very good and very nice because they'll be doing a lot of scouting and things like that. Next up, we have Shadow Walk. The rogue becomes a living shadow, making it difficult for most creatures to detect you. You will generate opportunity while Shadow Walk is active. So this is a kind of stealthy moving through the shadows so that you can scout, as we just talked about, and move ahead of the group and see what is ahead, so the group can be prepared for what's coming. Next up, we have Disarm Mechanical and Enigmatic Traps. So through tedious and often painful trial and error, the rogue has become adept at detecting and disarming mechanical and enigmatic traps. So this will be really good in dungeon runs where there's traps, or you want to do a trap check, and you got a rogue in your party. He can go through and unarm those, detect them also, so that you know that they're there, but also try to disarm those so that nobody takes any damage, etc., which is going to come in big time handy in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen in those deep dungeon runs. Next up, we have Leaking Wound. This is where the rogue viciously strikes an enemy, dealing physical damage and causing the enemy to bleed for a percentage of the damage dealt. So what I like about this particular dot, damage over time, is that the more damage you do on the attack, the larger the overtime will be. So if you just happen to land a crit hit, leaking wound, you would deal more damage over time than you would with a regular hit, and I like it. Now, will this be situational? Because it doesn't specifically say. Will you have to be behind the enemy? I don't know, because we have another ability where it specifically does say that, so I don't think this is positional, but it could be. Alright, next up we have Pilfer. This is where the rogue attempts to steal something from an enemy. Only usable while Shadow Walk is active, cannot be used in combat. So there's a couple interesting things about this. First of all, obviously, you know, this gives the rogue some solo ability to do things while they're waiting on a group, right? Like they could walk around solo even and steal some things deep down in a dungeon, right? Which I think is a really fun part of playing the rogue. Does it have a chance of alerting the enemy? Probably, if they fail or something like that, I would guess, but it's specifically meant to sneak up on enemies and steal from them when not in combat. And I think that gives a lot of playability to the rogue, a lot of fun things that the rogue can do for the group or for themselves. Next up, we have Backstab. This is where the rogue plunges their dagger deep into an enemy's back, dealing high physical damage. So this is the move for the rogue, in my opinion. That's what I think of when I think of a rogue or a thief or something like that. They go and they backstab that enemy, doing that crit hit, high damage, and it's a really great start to a battle, right? You get that surge of DPS right at the beginning, and I think it's awesome. Next up, we have Smoke Trick. This is where the rogue blows puffs of circles and everybody's amazed. No, I'm just kidding. This is where they throw a vial at an enemy's feet that releases mesmerizing toxins, incapacitating them. Any damage will break the effect. So this is a mez for the rogue. I freaking love it. So I'm going to assume that they're going to need to have this in hand. It's not just like a magical item. Doesn't seem to be. It's something that they'll have to bring some with them, but they can throw it down. It releases some toxins in the air and mesmerizes the enemies for a time. But once again, just like any other mez, if somebody damages it, it'll break their effect. They'll snap out of it, right? So really cool effect. Love it. And the rogue having a mez is going to really be a game changer for this class. Next up, we have Pressurized Flask. This is where the rogue throws a flask of pressurized air at the target location. The flask shatters on impact, creating a loud noise that draws the attention of nearby enemies for a short time. So if you need to move some mobs out of your way, right? This can be used in so many ways, guys. If you use your imagination, there's so many things you can do with this. So basically, it's to avert their attention away to another section, right? To another area. Once again, I think the rogue will have to bring this with them. I don't think it's just gonna have an infinite amount. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it being that way. And anyway, they're going to throw it, and the enemies are going to move in that direction, clearing a path for you and your group, or for the rogue if he's soloing, trying to move through a dangerous area, or maybe even just trying to get back to his group. It's going to be much easier, obviously, for a rogue with Shadow Walk, with being able to do this and all kinds of other things. But this is more of a group utility, in my opinion, to help you get deeper or into a part maybe it might be hard to get into, too many mobs in the way, etc. Next up, we have Shadow Step. This is where the rogue moves through the shadows to the target enemy or location while increasing their movement speed for a short time. If an enemy is targeted, it will put the enemy in a surprised state. So this is where the rogue can get to the enemy faster and surprise them when they get there, so get that little bit of an advantage on that attack, and hopefully a backstab on top of that, right? Next up, we have Reddened Elixir, which this is an interesting one. This is where the rogue sacrifices a percentage of their health in the creation of an elixir that restores the same percentage of health when consumed. So here they are making an elixir, right? Like on the spot, using some of their own vitality, their own health in order to create this so that they can use it later, right? So it's like a preparation thing, right? Like you make this elixir, sacrifice some of your health while everybody's resting, go ahead and save some back so that you can use it later when you need it. Or maybe only one at a time, we'll just have to wait and see. Now here's one of my favorites from the rogue, and that is Length of Rope. This is where the rogue lets down a length of rope which other players can climb. This is going to come in big time handy for exploring some places that you're not supposed to, right? And why not say not supposed to? I just mean they're out of the way, hard to reach places. Rogue can use a rope and let people safely climb, etc. And that's going to come in big time handy. There's going to be, well, not just this one, but based on all these abilities that we know, the rogue is going to be sought after for sure. Next up, we have Toxin Craft. This is a cornerstone of the rogue's repertoire, allowing them to develop proficiency in creating, applying, and neutralizing alchemical toxins of greater variety and potency. So we talked a little bit already in some abilities that use alchemy in order to do different effects and things. So this is the ability that allows them to make those stronger and better. Next up, we have Flash Bomb. This is where the rogue throws a flash bomb at their feet, immediately ending combat and activating Shadow Walk. So what this reminds me of is almost a feigned death, right? Almost. So they can get out of the battle. So once again, I gotta mention this because rogue, I feel quite a bit of solo ability here. So when they're out and about, let's just say they're out and about pilfering, right? Stealing items, etc. It fails, they get caught. Flash bomb, get the heck out of there, right? Or any scenario where they're in major danger, they can just get out of there quickly, and I think that's going to be something you're definitely going to want to keep on your hotbar. Guys, that is the abilities for the rogue. It sounds really cool to me, and I think we got a lot of utility here, which I honestly wouldn't have expected from the rogue, a lot more than I would have expected. And this isn't the full ability list, so there'll be more things as well, but just these abilities sounds really exciting to me. If you're planning on playing a rogue, I can definitely see why you would be super psyched in the information that we have so far. And of course, if you want a low-level kind of feel for that, Pantheon Plus actually got permission to release a little bit of information of him playing the rogue with lots of information there. So if rogue's your class, check the description down below. I have a link to his video. You'll definitely want to check that out if you're planning on playing a rogue. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I know I sure did. The rogue looks super cool. I'm really hyped about it. And of course, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And I want to give a big shout out to the members of Napalm. Thank you guys so much for keeping this channel going. I really appreciate you guys. Couldn't do it without you. And if you're interested in becoming a member, please click the join button down below for more information and a list of perks. And of course, until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. It's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize. But just please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.